Okay, well, I remember day one, we all started off from London, caught the ferry across on Dover, took about an hour and a half ferry crossing and arrived in Paris that night. We all got to taste the lovely escargot or snails with a bit of proper French champagne and the lovely plastic cups. That night we did a city tour, 50 odd monuments around the city of Paris, and of course we all got to see the Eiffel Tower lit up on the Champ de Mars at the same time. Following day, back into Paris, went to the Eiffel Tower itself. Most people went up there. A couple of people were hunting for Romanian visas, and the rest of them then spent the day running around, going to all the museums of Paris in a single day. Following day, went down to the Palace of Versailles, checked that out, and then went back into town and had another half day to look around Paris. Then picked everybody up, and that was our first dinner night out. Memorable for most, probably unmemorable for some that drank too much of the wine. Lucas once again made a monument to himself and his waitress serving with using the napkins, sort of like a Manuel if you like. And then we went to one of the local bars where couples tended to hook up and other people tended to throw up on the way back on the coach, and there was 2 people sick on the way back. Next day we then stopped off at the Chateau of Fontainebleau and carried on down to the chateau where we stayed in the Beaujolais wineries and had the wine tasting that night. And then that was the first party that we had at the chateau down in the cave with the other tour group that were there. I seem to remember Lucas being on stage here and the cry of Lucas, Lucas is the best dressed female. Nicely done. It was a good party night, and then of course the next day was time for a picnic and everyone went for a bit of a stroll around and just got to enjoy the Beaujolais region. Then from there, huge big drive, stopped off at Nimes with the Pont de Gard, the big aqueduct, stopped off there, and then all the way down into Barcelona for the night. Next day Barcelona, went into the leather shop, had a bit of a city tour in the morning, went around the old Gothic quarter as well, walking around there, and then it was just free time in the city itself, having a look-see. That night then down to the flamenco dancing. Who was up on stage with 6 o'clock, 12 o'clock? Yes, and Paul and me. Yes, very nice the way they did that. So that was Barcelona, and then of course you drove back, heading up to Antibes, and we stopped at Aigues-Mortes. Remember there's a big city with a big wall right the way around it, beautiful little place, stopped there for lunch or so, where all the Crusaders left from. Stopped there, then Antibes, arrived in Antibes. Next day it was your choice. Some people went to Nice, some went to Cannes, some went a little further on the trains. And then of course that night we did the Monte Carlo. Everyone all got dressed up, went to the casino. And from there we went and oh sorry? Venice? Oh, it was Venice too. Now the reason why you can't remember Venice, of course, attitude adjusters. That was another one of the nights that turned into a rather good party. I seem to remember, guys, you don't really want to drink too many of these attitude adjusters. Go to the bar 10 minutes later, every man and his dog's there with 3 drinks in his hand, drinking these attitude adjusters. That was fun night. People up dancing on the tables and all the rest of it. Made it a bit of interesting boat ride the next morning, the Scarfi boat ride into Venice, into St Mark's Square, had a look at the glass place. Everyone enjoy the glass demonstration? Yeah. And the Venice with the lace as well. And then it was a free day to walk around Venice. Gondola rides that evening, and then back into the campsite for another night, which I think from memory was just a little bit quieter than the first night. After Venice, we then went down to Florence, stopped off at Pisa on the way, Leaning Tower, everyone got the photographs. Everyone exchanged all their millions of dollars into US dollars for those that were going to Egypt, and then we arrived at the Florence campsite. After the Florence campsite, we headed into the Red Garter that night. That was the night where basically we seemed to have the boys down one end, the girls down the other end. The girls with these giant cocktails and the guys with all these 5-litre kegs of beer being self-poured. Very good night. Back into Florence that night, and then the following day into town. Had a guided tour that morning, went to the leather shop as well, and it was your free day to explore. Then back into town that night, and we had the Florence dinner as well. After that, we then headed down to Rome. Arrived in Rome, we gave you a bit of a city tour as we drove in around Rome, pointing out a few things. Then you had your guided tour, and then we went on our own little guided walking tour. Then of course Rome campsite, that was a campsite with the poles, where halfway through the night Lucas had his birthday there. And I think Scott, you might have actually think Scott at the back there, I think he was one of the first people to take up the challenge from Jen and join her on the dance poles, and by the end of the night everyone was up there. I do believe a few people carried me up there at some stage as well. Interesting night. Then the next morning back into Rome again, and we did the whole Vatican run, line in the Vatican. Everyone enjoy the Vatican?
Yeah.
Well worth it, it's an amazing place.
and then a few people checked out the Capuchin monks perhaps in the afternoon, and other people just checked out some other cities that were miles away from our campsite. At least they're laughing now. Right, after Rome then, that was when we then drove down, stopped at Pompeii, did the whole ruins of Pompeii, Mount Vesuvius, and then caught our ferry, drove into Bari instead of Brindisi, and managed to get everyone on the ferry okay. On the ferry, apparently, the truckers of Greece had a national day of mourning because half of them died with the flu epidemic that we passed on to them all. You remember we jumped on the ferry and everyone was sitting there sounding like a herd of wildebeest after about 3 lots of stairs. And of course, overnight ferry, Corfu, arrived at Corfu, and what an absolutely stunning day we had for water sports in Corfu. The temperatures there, I'm sorry for those who got sunburned. It definitely was. George's boat was hilarious. I've never seen people with beanies and gloves all standing around one little sort of hot boiling thing to eat hot chocolate. It's normally beers galore and sunburned people. But I think more than made up for it, it definitely put everyone in the mood for the toga party that night. And the toga party, I think it was probably one of the best nights we had. I think just about everyone was there. Everyone got to dress up as well. And it was definitely good fun. I think even you enjoyed it, didn't you, Paul? I think Paul had 1 or 2 drinks as well. That was awesome. And then, geez, what did we do after the toga party? I think we went to town the next day and had a bit of a look around, and then we had that dinner. Remember the happy clappy meal dinner where they were all clapping the whole time, and you're sitting there and they're lighting up the stage and the guys breaking plates and all that sort of stuff. And then the following day headed off to Igoumenitsa, on to Athens, had that nice fast ferry across to Igoumenitsa. I think everyone slept for a good hour or so on that, and then drove, not quite a nice drive actually, into Athens, arrived into Athens that night, bit of a walk about dinner, and then of course the next day the options went the separate way. We did the Acropolis, Olympic Stadium in the morning and things, and then Paul took those going to Egypt, out to Egypt. We left there, important day because it was of course my birthday on that day. We got down to Egypt, and well, everyone enjoyed Egypt that went.
Yeah.
Ranking in the top, say if you're saying top 3 parts of the holiday.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay. For sure. Those, of course, the others went to Mykonos. Everyone got on the ferry okay there, and from all reports, Mykonos is just the best place to go and kick back and relax. And you guys would be wanting to do it again if you came back to Europe?
Yeah.
Those are Mykonos? Yeah. Excellent. And no, you didn't go either, did you, Cheryl?